Does anybody call themselves the Stanford of anything?
I don't know. It's awful rough. They're 12-39.
Jeez.
There has been no football program that has been impacted more by new college football than Stanford.
And COVID kind of wrecked them too a little bit, right? I mean, weren't they one of the programs that had to shut down a lot of different Olympic sports as well? I mean,
so NIL, Power 4 move to the ACC.
It's still so weird to me.
Portal, I mean, it's Stanford still has some standards when it comes to academics, but one thing that should not be overlooked about Stanford's downfall. First of all, if you haven't, and I know you don't, throw some flowers towards Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is a really good football coach. Jim Harbaugh actually might be one of the better football coaches in the last 15 years. NFL, college. If you look at his track record, remember he was successful at Stanford. I wrote this down because I'm fascinated by Stanford and their struggles, because a guy that I like deserves a lot of blame. Between 2010 and 2018, Stanford averaged 10.4 wins a season. Between 2018 and last year, 3.3. They may only win 3 games this year. Awful. I mean, their quarterback play is, but David Shaw, man, what were you doing at the end? That Rose Bowl win over Iowa, where Christian McCaffrey was running all over the place, and you're like, man, Stanford football, that is so long ago. The fact that David Shaw, that program slipped so bad before new college football kicked in, really is an indictment on David Shaw, and he has disappeared. I mean, he could have been in line for some really good jobs. Now he's like he's in the NFL. Is he still with the Broncos?
I think he's an assistant coach still.
Okay.
Let me see.
But that's kind of the downfall. I mean,
passing coordinator for the Lions.
Okay, so he moved. He was with the Broncos. Now he's with the Lions. But there's a guy that was he was an up-and-comer. He was on NFL Network for the draft. You were like, I love this guy. He's winning at Stanford. Now, I mean, they brought in Andrew Luck to try and save the program. Pat Fitzgerald can help you, but they're woeful. And I actually feel bad for Stanford because they're getting. I mean, put the asphalt over Stanford. They don't have a fan base.
Well,
they used to be good in football. They used to overachieve.
They played in 2019. Northwestern played Stanford, and I was watching that game, and it was at Stanford, and that stadium was empty. There was nobody there. It was embarrassing how few people were at that game. And this isn't 2 years ago. This isn't 3 years ago. This was in 2019, not too far removed from when they were consistently in the double-digit range of having wins. So this was like the beginning of their downfall. And even at the start of it, people just weren't there. And I was startled by how much it just seemed like nobody cared about that football program over there. And now you bring in Andrew Luck, which, look, Andrew Luck from a optics perspective and through what they've had to go through over the last couple of, year and a half now with the football program, looks great for them, right? Because he's a Stanford man. He's a great guy. He represents the program well. But from let's just call it from a football perspective, I don't think Andrew Luck is like the top necessarily general manager or pseudo athletic director that you can have to really turn that program around. So, I mean, I think it's interesting that he's there, and I think it's good for the program that he is in front of it because he's one of the best people to come out of there. But I don't know if anything is really fully getting solved from a football winning perspective.
I agree with Adam here. And Adam and I have actually kind of talked about this. The Big Ten killed Stanford.
Not taking them.
They were all set to come to the Big Ten. And when it became UCLA, USC, and then they flew over the Bay Area and they left Cal and Stanford behind. And I mean, you would rather have Stanford than Cal. That killed Stanford. It did. I mean, Stanford seems like a fit for the Big Ten because you look at their Olympic sports have been still, their Olympic sports are still doing things, but their football program has slipped so much that they play in the ACC. Stanford plays in the ACC when they kind of align more with the Big Ten. But when the Big Ten was like, we're good, they probably went, uh-oh.
Well,
we're I guess we're just academic. And there's probably more people on that campus that are like, no, we're an academic institution. Sports,
but you have the
big time sports.
The
big time sports like football.
The Big Ten has heavily invested too in having good academics with their school to go along with having Michigan, great school, Ohio State, great school. It's getting harder and harder to get into the University of Illinois. We all know about Northwestern. Like Stanford is, in my opinion, kind of that perfect mix of like, hey, you have that sport history along with the fact, oh, you're adding another prestigious school in terms of academics to the Big Ten. It hypothetically seemed like the match made in heaven, but I think this boils back down to what we've kind of talked about a lot when you want to make sure that you matter right now and you're clicking right now and you're winning football games right now, because when this Super League eventually gets created, you want to have a seat at the table. You want to be a relevant winner. You have to be someone that says, oh my God, how can we have a Super League without having this Nebraska football team that has has had 5 straight 9-win seasons? They're competing at a high level. It'd be bad if the Super League didn't have it. I think you saw that happen to Stanford, where Stanford had fallen so far back, where the Big Ten kind of looks at them and goes, it's not like they're adding any competition. It's not like they're going to move the needle in terms of beating SEC teams or being a best conference. That's why it's important to win and be invested right now.